Today we're gonna do something to the car. Don't really know, but I got some stuff in the mail, some more tools, I guess you could say. So we're gonna take the cover off and get busy doing something. So one of the things I picked up off of eBay the other day, I don't remember what I was actually needing. I think it was the cap for the rear windshield wiper. But I've been looking at these and I decided to pick one up, see if it would help with some of the glue and the adhesive on the back of the car. It's one of these, it's like an eraser. It's got this little attachment. Put it on your drill. And then it's basically supposed to help get some of this, here you go. All this stuff right here. All this old adhesive from the Acura logo. I guess this used to be a Twin City Mazda. Maybe that's Tennessee, Alcoa, Tennessee. Shout out to Alcoa, wherever that's at. And well, we got some other stuff we might get into, but I think we're gonna do a quick video, maybe a time lapse, see if we can't clean this back up, see how well it works. So at this point, I'm basically spending most of my time trying to figure out how to keep this eraser wheel from coming off of the attachment that it screws onto. And then the attachment is what you tighten down into your drill. Honestly, a air tool would probably be best for this, but it still would not keep the eraser wheel from unscrewing once you basically take your finger off the trigger and it stops. It wants to spin that eraser wheel off of the attachment that sits inside the clamp on the drill. So honestly, if you use some Loctite or some thread locker on that would at least eliminate one issue. But I still did have some problems with the clamping section on the drill. Would get loose and then the whole thing would come out. I probably dropped this thing 10 times in this short little clip here. You can't really see what it's doing, but it's getting rid of the decal really easily, but it's leaving a ton of the eraser residue on the car, which I eventually have to go back and just redo this whole section again to get the eraser wheel off. But pretty much it does as advertised. It takes this decal off. It's got to be decades old with ease. And this is also after I used some goof off and let it sit and tried to wipe it down, and that didn't work, obviously. But it's definitely well worth the $8. Okay, well, worked pretty good. Once we messed with it a little bit more, went back over at a different angle, it cleared most of this entire, it was like an old sticker from the dealership. I guess somebody at one point when they bought it, one of the car dealerships or something, I always stick a little sticker on there. So it got rid of that, and I can rub it and you can see there's some stuff starting to form, which tells me it's probably, see, the eraser has the wheel is kind of laid. I'm going to show you two things here. You can see where there's just parts of the paint that look a little cleaner, and I mean it needs wash, but when you get back over here, it did remove that decal, but there's a film on this, so it's going to have to be finished somehow. It might just take some soap and water, maybe some warm water and some soap could possibly pull this eraser wheel off. But it's just got some scuffing going on. I don't think it's real damage necessarily. This obviously, I am not worried about the paint, but on somebody else's car, you know, if you're looking at this, you're definitely going to be worried. They did a real good job pulling the glue. See, the glue actually had ate away at the paint. It's such an old car that you could see where the paint was just starting to like kind of disintegrate. This side turned out really well. there was tons of glue in here from the Integra logo. I already kind of showed you the second thing. I got the wheel too close to my tail light, and it not only applied some of the eraser wheel to the tail light, but the thing gets pretty hot. I mean, the longer you use it, the friction obviously causes heat. And so you can see here where I've actually done some damage to my tail light. Now again, this tail light's already, it's not like the best tail light, but if you are somebody that's got a fairly nice paint job, or very good condition tail lights, you definitely want to stay away, because that eraser wheel will definitely get hot enough to cause some damage here. We've got some other tail lights if we needed. I'm not even really worried about it. Hopefully we're going so fast that nobody sees this thing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's a race car. Don't care about little things like that, but it definitely is something you want to pay attention to if you're not building a pile of crap like we are. Now it's time for a break, so we can eat a pepper. My good buddy Sammy has this awesome channel. You should go check him out. We'll put a link in there. You can go follow him. You can go subscribe to him. He has all kinds of cool videos. If you like fishing, if you like peppers, gave him some peppers last year. He tried some of them in one of his videos. You could probably find that when you subscribe to him. This is just a Tabasco pepper. We're gonna eat one raw. Sammy does it all the time. And the ones he eats are much hotter than this. These things are like, they got so much juice in them that as soon as you eat it, it just fills your mouth full of fire. Like, it's hot, like right off the get-go. And it doesn't really, in my opinion, get much hotter. But every time I eat them, it always, it's all right here in my sinuses. They're instantly cleared up. That's just how it goes. So check him out. He eats a bunch of cool stuff, Scotch bonnets, habaneros. You'll like it. Shout out to Sammy, man. Those peppers aren't hot, but they are at the same time. Everybody always thinks it's like, oh, it's just not really that hot to me, because it gets hot and it just nothing really happens. But it really takes about 5 to 10 full minutes for everything to hit you and go away. We actually all had some of these peppers Labor Day weekend. Some of my family members made a pretty bad mistake. If you eat peppers, they're like the best peppers in the world. They're like just the best go-to. But if you're not a pepper person, especially if you don't eat them raw, they will surprise you pretty badly. We've gotten about 3 coats on this thing. The last one's drying. I thought I had a ton of sandpaper from when I was doing these wheels. I had some Integra wheels that I got. I thought it was going to be a good deal. All I needed to do was just re-clear coat them and get some curb rash out. Man, I was sanding on those things for like, I swear, 60 days. This is just not even worth it. Which is also kind of why we've got these other wheels. But nonetheless, I can't find any of my sandpaper.
which means I can't do this the right way. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do a crappy job on purpose. This is just a stupid piece of, it's a panel that goes there. Doesn't matter how bad it looks. I can fix it later. I could probably buy another one, but I just wanted to show anybody who's curious, when you sand this thing down with 120 grit, we used some water and soap. We went from 120 to 220 and just cleaned it up. And you can see even after 3 coats, this is a spot that had some, we're just cleaning rust up. That's all I'm doing. We're not doing some race car, show car stuff that's like, really amazing. We're just trying to get the rust out, so that, there's another good spot. This is the worst spot. This was the worst spot of rust here. I actually had to fill this with some JB Weld. And I was gonna come back, put some Bondo over it and make it nice and pretty, but like I said, I don't even have the sandpaper on me now. I started this project. I kind of wanted to get this panel back on the car today. So this is what it looks like when you cut tons of corners and it looks like crap, but it will get the job done. You can't even see this spot. Yeah, you can see that a little bit. But I mean, overall, when this thing's on the car, it's gonna look way better. There's a couple of spots on the car as well this was all rusted in here. I had some holes around here where it's because of these sealants on the actual taillight mounts that were giving us a bunch of rust around these mounting holes around the edge of the car. Looks a little better. We'll see what it looks like once it's all dried and taped up, and we got to put some clear on it as well. Well, I was doing some looking today, some yesterday, really the past 2 or 3 days, on what the next, really what direction I want to go with the car. Originally, we had always set out to build a Touge car. If you're not familiar with what that is, you can find it you can just do a quick search on YouTube for like Honda Touge car, and they're basically like kind of half race car, half sports car. They're not completely gutted interior, but a lot of them do have like cages in them. But there are these cars that they set up and they run them through the mountains of Japan. And there's pretty bad little cars. That was our goal for this. It still is. I was thinking we were maybe gonna kind of fall a little bit more towards the direction of like racing in some like NASA stuff, like maybe Honda Challenge events. But man, I'm looking into this and it's just a lot of work, like a lot of work. Just with the cage alone, I mean, having to like box in the rear strut towers and stuff like that. It's just a ton of work. Not to mention that you can't have turbo motors and stuff, so you're doing a lot of work motor wise, just trying to stay competitive. It's not impossible, it's not out of the realm, it's just so far down the road for us. We're just trying to get something that's going to be, hey, anytime I want to hop in a car and just go tear up some corners in North Georgia, it's a Touge car. We can hop in it and we can take off on a Sunday or something, and it'll just be a blast. So we're still sticking with that. So in light of that, we're trying to just figure out what the best course of action is, like from a step-by-step kind of thing. The motor we have in the car is a swapped low compression B20. It's not going to offer us any kind of power that we want to make without either adding a turbo, which for just the street we could definitely do, or at least doing a VTEC swap with some kind of VTEC head. That probably might be a cheaper version, but I honestly would kind of just rather put a whole swap in, either something that's already been built, or maybe like a B18, a B16, something that's already VTEC. That's going to get us closer to our 200, 250 horsepower that we want at the wheels. So until that's ready, I say we just dog the hell out of this motor. So that means I'm not going to put any money into it, which leaves us where we're going to go next, because our suspension is almost nearly complete. So then I think the chassis is really about all there is. I mean, there's only so many things that we can look at. So let us know if you have, please comment on any kind of advice, or is it worth like going the safety route and focusing on like harnesses, seats? Should we focus on
lightening the chassis more? Should we focus more on maybe the rigidity of the vehicle and put a cage in? Should we avoid the cage and go for more like of the pillar bars, like the strut bars and stuff like that? Whatever you guys think. I mean, we're all having a conversation here, right? Love to hear what you guys have to say about it.